This talk is about a project that I built, and I'll be showcasing it. This is Obsidian Smart Text Mover. It's a plugin I have developed for Obsidian. So yeah, without wasting any time, let's move forward. So first of all, what is Obsidian? Obsidian is basically a note-taking app with focus on privacy as well as its customizability. Okay, so we will talk about some guiding principles around which Obsidian is built and the principle that community as well as the company follows. Okay, so yours, durable, private, malleable, independent. These are like five principles that are strictly followed. So let me go through them one by one. So one is yours. Basically, what Obsidian believes in is that whatever product that you are using, it should be yours rather than in someone else's control. So as a result of that, what happens is that the Obsidian works on your local machine, and whether the company stays tomorrow or not, that product will still belong to you, and it's free for personal use. So that's what yours stand for. Second thing is durable. Uh, there are a lot of apps out there that are building on good UI, how to show things better and all, but very less are concerned about how long your data stays. Okay, so let's say that you are using a note keeping app for years around it, right? And then all of a sudden one day the company decides that we are going to shut it down, right? What happens to your data? Uh, all that thing is taken care of in the second point, which is durable. Uh, we believe that the notes that you make on Obsidian, they should last uh, forever. Okay, your future generation should be able to access those notes. And how do they achieve it? Whatever notes that you create are stored on your local machine and in a markdown format. It's an open format. Tomorrow, if you decide to move all your data to some other app which supports markdown format, you can move without any hassle all your data to that app, use it, or even store in your local machine and edit it in a normal editor. So that's what durable stand for. Privacy, basically, what it stands for is it is strictly against telemetry and keeping track of users. All the developers, plugin developers are encouraged, and even stopped from using telemetry in there. So no user tracking, and whatever happens, it happens on your local, and there is no way company, pry their eyes on what you are doing. So that's what privacy stands for. Malleability stands for you can customize it according to your thinking. Like we strictly believe in that your tools should not shape your thinking, but your thinking should shape your tools. So your tools should be customizable. They should be modified according to how you think, rather than you restricting your thinking on what tool has to offer. And that is supported in the fourth point, which is malleability. How we are going to see in the next slide. Independent, basically, Obsidian operates without any support of any investors. They are totally user supported, community supported, and they plan to keep it that way. So that's about Obsidian. Now let's look at some of the features that have, and I'll show you how the app looks like on your desktop to give you a feel how it works. So features are basically links. So you can create connections between your notes and then visualize it, and note keeping will look like exactly like how Wikipedia looks like. All the pages are linked, and you can navigate from one concept or one topic to another by following those links. So Obsidian supports links, and links are like what you can say, primary citizen of Obsidian note taking app. Okay, we have graph view where you can visualize the relationship between your nodes. You can navigate through easily, and you can actually see what is how things are linked. Okay, with a neat graph view. Plugins is how we support malleability. Although Obsidian code base is closed source, but the plugin setup, plugin architecture is so rich that it allows anybody to write plugin that actually modifies the functionality of this app as a whole. Okay, so that's how it supports malleability, where whatever you think you need, functionality you need, you're free to create it, develop it as a plugin, share it with the community, and if other finds it useful, they can also use it. Okay, so let's look at one of the few stats around the plugin. So there are around 1727 plus plugins, community uh, contributed plugins out there that has been vetted by Obsidian team, and that are free to be downloaded by any of the Obsidian users. One of the These are few key plugins that I use personally, but definitely there are more. Advanced slide is one of them. So basically, this slide is also powered by Obsidian. I just wrote a markdown file. Just like we write README on GitHub, I have created a MD file on Obsidian, and it is being rendered from there. So as you can see by its popularity, it's like there are total 7 to 3K plus downloads on this plugin. Then there is Kindle Highlights plugin, which sync your Kindle book highlights into Obsidian just by logging into Amazon. Okay, there are 92K plus downloads on this. We have Clipper. Web Clipper, what it does is basically it allows you to clip or send highlights from a website into Obsidian. So that's what Clipper does. Then we have URL namer. Let's say you have a URL and you want to fetch the title of that URL from internet. Then we have URL namer plugin for that. And these are like few of many that Obsidian community plugins have to offer. Okay, so before we talk about how to write a plugin, let me give you a quick walkthrough of what Obsidian looks like. And so we talked about graph view. So this is what graph view looks like. Uh, we have like all our nodes are, let me just zoom in a bit. So all our nodes, all your nodes, how they are connected, they are like can be visualized in a neat graph view, and you can actually navigate from one uh, by just clicking on nodes. So each of these nodes is actually uh, what you can say a node in itself. So if you just click uh, this one, then this is a node, and you can go from who wrote this article, all this. So this is how you can actually leverage on the graph view. Basically, when your nodes increases, you kind of lose track on how they are connected to each other and all, right? So it supports two kinds of links. One is from one node to another, where each node is backed up by a file. So here, if I click on Databricks, it's a company file which have certain properties. You can also link your nodes to certain ideas. For example, this is an idea, this is a tag, and as you can see, there are different nodes that have this tags. Okay, so this is what the power of link and graph view it has to offer. Okay, then another thing is basically the plugin. So you can actually go here. We have community plugin here. You can browse, and all of these plugins are just one click away from you, right? So this is the plugin that has been vetted recently, which we are going to talk about. So when you click on it, you can actually install it and use it on your own. Okay, so yeah, so let's get back to the slide. So how do you write a plugin? Okay, let me give you a quick walkthrough of how it's done, how easy it is for you to add plugin to Obsidian and share it with the community. So what you have to do is basically go here. We have an Obsidian sample plugin repository. You use this template and create a new repository out of it. Okay, and once you have created a new repository out of it, just copy it in your plugins folder. Okay, so I won't be cloning it because I already have added it in my plugins folder here. Okay, and as a result of that, what happens is, let me show you. So basically, to try out plugins, what we do is we create a different vault so that it doesn't corrupt our original data. Okay, and since I have copied that repo in my plugins folder, this plugin becomes available to me over here. Okay, and the sample plugin basically consists of some of the very basic utilities for you to try things out, and then you can modify it on their own. So let's have a quick look at what does this plugin adds. So we see that there is this icon added in the ribbon over here. Okay, and there is some action associated to it that it generates a new notice. Okay, so let's check this out. This is the latest icon that has been added by this plugin. So if you disable it, this icon will be gone. If you enable it, you will find this icon present over here. Okay, so once you click over here, you get a notice or an alert over here. This is one functionality that has been added. uh, then there is this text added in status bar text. So this is the status bar, and this is the text that has been added by this plugin. Okay, then there are certain commands that has been added in the command prompt. So if I just this is a command prompt I have, and if I just click samples over here, these three commands have been added over here by this plugin. So I click on this, there is this model opening and all that. Okay, and then there are certain things that are this is an editor command that it has added. So we'll just see it quickly in action. So I selected test over here, and I am running this command. And what this command is doing is basically replacing the original text with sample editor command. Okay, so this is what sample plugin does. Very basic thing, just for you to get hang of how you can modify those things and see the plugin in action over here. Key things I would say, there are this ribbon where you can add things. Okay, then there is this command prompt where you can add commands, and then you can also add commands in this context menu uh, when you are acting on a editor. Okay, so this is what the sample plugin looks like. Okay, yeah. So how do you write a plugin? Basically, you create a template. You fork this repo. You place it in your Vault Obsidian plugins folder. You make changes in that. You push it on GitHub. Okay, and then when you have done that, tested it, then you can submit this plugin for community listing. For that, we have this repo Obsidian releases, and these are the plugin requests that have been added over here. So whenever you have built your plugin, what you have to do is basically there is this file, uh, community plugins .json. You just have to add the details over here. Okay, and one of the team members of Obsidian will pick it up, and they will review your code on your actual repo, provide some feedback, make some changes, and they will approve it. Once they approve it, it becomes available on the to the entire community. Okay, so I'll just show you how the feedback process looks like on the plugin I'm talking about. So you see, yeah. So basically, when I wrote this plugin, I submitted over here. I got some feedback first from the automated feedback. There were some syntax errors in my files, so I modified it. And once it was vetted by the GitHub Actions, it was passed on to the actual team member from Obsidian. Okay. Then they provided me some feedback. We go some back and forth, and yeah, it got closed yesterday, and now it's visible over here in the plugin list. This one. Okay. Excuse me. So yeah, this is basically the process of how to write and submit your plugins. Now we will talk about what this plugin actually does and what was the motivation behind writing this plugin. Okay. So yeah. So basically, when I started using Obsidian, I decided that I'll use it as my bookmarking app. Okay. Whatever links I find it, I'll, instead of using some other product, let's say Pocket or something like that, or bookmarks, I'll dump it in my Obsidian. Okay. Now, as a result of that, what happens is when you save a link in Obsidian, it keeps on getting added. Let me switch to another workplace. Yeah. So this is basically what the file looks like, right? You keep on adding links. Okay. And initially what I did was I categorized them into different categories. Okay, so let's say software tryout, software engineering, business, Python embeddings, like that. I created different headings. Okay, and I started arranging them in that. Then what happens is after some times, and I created a default heading at the end, unsorted bookmarks. And then what happened is that list started piling on without me arranging them for quite some time. And now I have like, 20, 30 links that are not yet categorized. So earlier, what I used to do is I used to copy, cut it, and then I used to find out where does it fit, right? LLM data set, I used to cut it. I used to go over here and I used to add it over here. Okay, and it was a very tedious task for example, copy pasting and all. So I started with this idea that okay, I don't want to copy paste over here. I just wanted to transport it to some headings directly. So what started happening, what I did was that I listed down all the headings where I can move them, and I just chose one of the headings. Okay, so basically this was my version one. So let me go back to the slide. So this was my version one where I created a category picker, which listed down all the headings where I can move this text. Okay. Then it slowly this also became tedious because every time I do this, okay, uh, I have to figure out where this can be categorized. Okay. Uh, and it puts a cognitive load on me, right, to categorize each time that the same thing. So what I did next step was I started using LLM for this, and this was the next step. I used ChatGPT API. You give the text my selection and all the categories, and it just assign them one of the categories. Okay, it works decent. Okay, and this is what the prompt looks like. Basically, for the text below, suggest top three classes from one of the following classes. No fluff, no explanation, no numbering, just the classes. Okay, so I provide the classes, I provide the text, and it assigns some of the, let's say top three classes where it can be put. Okay. Now, when I started doing this, what happened is that this list, it started getting ordered by the one that ChatGPT is suggesting. Okay, let's say ChatGPT suggests me top three classes. They end up on the top, and rest of them are like below, just normally. Okay, but then this just didn't feel right to hit an API endpoint, that to of ChatGPT, for doing this simple reordering. Okay, and then I realized that I already have enough examples for each category. Okay, let's say 10, 12 examples in each category I have. Okay, then I should be able to train a simple model to get this thing done. Okay, And then what came to my mind was uh, to use transformer models, fine tune on this data. But that again seemed to be an overkill. First, because it's a simple task. I shouldn't be needing all those heavy lifting, just to classify them. Second thing, this plugin is written in JavaScript. Transformers are basically mostly in Python. We have transformer.js, but I was kind of intimidated by it. So I dropped the idea of using transformer and I looked into a more, what you can say, more classical ML method, which by which I can achieve this. Okay, and that brings me to version 3, which is using naive based classifier to leverage existing categorization. Okay, to infer new links and text. How does this work? So let's have a look at it. So basically, naive based classifier is built on Bayes theorem. Okay, uh, this is the formula that I used. Probability of a class given a document is equal to probability of a document given a class into probability of a class divided by probability of document. So in order for me to assign class probabilities to a document, what I need to do is I need to calculate probability of class given document for all classes for that document. And I have to pick or order them by the maximum probability. Okay. So probability of C given D, this is basically my posterior probability. PC is my prior probability. I'll define them the next slide. Uh, Probability of a document is PD, and this is the likelihood. Okay, what is the probability that this document is coming out of this class? Okay, so that's what naive based classifier. That's a formula that naive based classifier use. Okay, and there are certain assumptions that this algorithm makes. Okay, so one thing is that when classifying a particular piece of text into a certain class, it assumes a bag of words assumption. It assumes that order in which the words are occurring in that text, it doesn't matter. Okay, that's what bag of words assumption means. And second thing is conditional independence. What conditional independence means is that in a document, each word is occurring independent of each other. Okay, that's not the case in reality. For example, let's say if we have Bill Clinton in a document, then Bill and Clinton, they are not occurring independently of each other, right? Let's say I have written Bill in a document, then Clinton का probability बढ़ जाता है because the document have seen Bill in it. Okay, so that's why it's called naive based classifier because it makes some naive assumptions. Conditional independence is a naive assumption and it is working well in my case. So I went forward with it. And so how does it work? Basically, this is a formula. Okay, this one, right? So I need to, I can drop this thing because this thing is common for all the classes, right? So for a given document, I need to calculate PC1 given D, PC2 given D, right? And then order them by the highest probability. Okay, in that this is common in all the numbers, so I can simply discard it. Now I need to calculate this number for all the classes given this document. So I need two numbers to calculate. One is probability of a class, okay, and second is priority of a probability of a document given a class. Okay, this is straightforward basically. Let me show you by an example. Yeah, so let's say that I have all these categories and all of them have different number of links present in it. Okay, so what does probability of a class means, right? If I randomly throw a new sentence on this, it will fall into one of these categories by the probability of how many links that category already have. Let's say that I have lot of links in Python category, okay, and others have very few, okay. Then the probability that new document is coming into Python is high, okay, and probability it is going elsewhere is low. So that is my prior probability. So that's how uh, PC is calculated. Okay. Uh, Basically, I just count the number of documents that are already present in each class, and that becomes PC. That becomes my prior. Okay. So if I don't have any evidence about the new document, then this becomes the probability of that document belonging to a class. So if a class has already lot of sentences or links, then there is high chances that new link is also going into that. Okay. Now this is not enough. Basically, what this will lead to is rich will get richer, poor will stay poorer, right? We need to take into consideration the evidence that document is giving us, that where it should belong. Okay. So now we'll look at this. We document given a class. So to calculate this number, what we do is, first thing is, let me go back to. So what I'll do is, for each class, I'll create a bigger document where I'll combine or concatenate all the links, all the text that is present in this class. So now every class will have a big document which is concatenation of all the documents, all the words that are in that class. Okay. Once I have that big document corresponding to each class, then it becomes easier for me to calculate probabilities based on each class. Okay. So let me jump back over here. Now my interest is in calculating probability of a document given a class. How do I do that? Probability of a document given a class after I made these two assumptions becomes straightforward as, since they are conditionally independent, then probability of a document given a C class becomes probability of word 1 given C, probability of word 2 given C into all the, so for all the words that are in the document. Okay. Now, once I have a big document corresponding to each class, these numbers are very straightforward to it. I just have to calculate how many total words there are in that class and how many times this word is occurring. Okay. So when I multiply this, I get this number, B document given C. Okay. So once I have that, so let's say I'll give you an example. I take this. Okay. On the Bittel Foundation of React prompting for agentic large language models. So it has these many words. Okay. Now I'll calculate probability of word given C for all the classes. Okay. And based on the combined support that these words are giving to each class, I'll try to assign score to each class. So when I move it, let's say now this is the order, or these all this is ordered by the probability of them belonging to each class. Since it has large language models in it, it falls into this lesser probability to neural NLP IR, even lesser to fine tuning. Okay, and as we go downwards, we see totally different classes, right? जिसका इससे कोई लेना देना नहीं है, right? So once I assign it to deep learning this, I'll find that this link has already been moved here. Okay, so if I was to use classic NLP algorithm, then why naive based classifier and not logistic regression? Okay, this is one of the questions that might come to your mind. Now, the reason I chose this is basically it doesn't require me to create vectors out of text and then do some linear algebra on it, right? Just by counting the word frequencies, I'm able to assign probabilities. And that's something that's like easier to do in JavaScript. Okay. if you are to do vector calculation and all, it's easier to do in Python, but not that straightforward in JavaScript. So that's how naive-based classifier was a better choice for me to implement this. Uh, so far, do you have any question?
Just one question from my side. Ankush. So, as you said,
Yeah.
like, let's say we have the multiple folder, or we can set text where we can move particular link, right? So
Yes.
while you calculating this naive based classification, right, for that particular given link,
Yes.
don't you think we can like include the words of that tag itself? Let's say, for example, you have the two folder, Python and the JavaScript, right?
Yes.
JavaScript don't have any of the link, and Python have few links. So while you calculating this, right, uh, what I feel is in the JavaScript, a particular link belongs to JavaScript also, then it might be biased towards the Python.
It might be biased towards the Python because JavaScript initially don't have any
Don't have any
link in.
links.
Okay. Yeah. So that is kind of, I would say, necessary evil in this case. So what happens is initially when less data is available, it kind of tends to support uh, already popular classes. Okay. But once I add one or two links and we start seeing overlap between the new links and some of the words in it, that automatically gets adjusted. So currently that's how it's happening. But can you repeat the suggestion that just made, like
Uh,
how we can
so
proceed it
let's
alternative?
so let's say you have the couple of the let's say you have the 10 tags, right, based on the language, Python, Go,
Okay.
JavaScript, and many more, and you have one link which contain like which might be belongs to JavaScript, one blog post or medium article which leads to a JavaScript functionality or any blog post on that, right? So while you calculating this, right, why can't we like including this tag name in the bag of words?
The name of like JavaScript itself.
Right. Let's say you have the folder Python
Yes.
JavaScript blog, or we can say Python blog, right? You can include Python blog in the while you calculating nav bytes for the Python blog, right? And JavaScript for the JavaScript and respective folders.
That's actually a very good suggestion. I didn't occur to me. Now I am envious of you. Yeah. So let me explain it to you, to everyone, what Milan is suggesting. Milan, you can probably correct me if I'm wrong or I got it wrong. So what Milan is saying is initially when we don't have any link in, let's say, one of the classes, right? So I add one of the class here, uh, JavaScript. Okay, and initially I don't have any link here, right? So the big document that I'm going to prepare for JavaScript will have no words. Okay. Now what I can do is I can actually initialize the big doc of this category by involving this word. So at least what will happen is that whenever a new link that has JavaScript in it will automatically be favorable or more receptive to this category. Uh, that's what you meant,
Yes.
right, Dylan?
Yes.
That's actually a good suggestion. So let's see if I can incorporate it. Any other questions you have?
I just on top of that. So as you said, right, you have the three version, and in the second version you are using the OpenAI APIs, right?
Yes.
And in the initial introduction, you said like Obsidian is based on the private, like do consider your privacy, right? So does Obsidian allow to use the like third party AI tools to like we can say analyze our text and all? So don't you think it will compromise the privacy policy?
What happens is it's not exactly banned here. Uh, what using of LLM based APIs, it's not actually against privacy. Okay, user is sharing it at their own will. Okay, but
Okay.
it's not something that is actively encouraged by Obsidian team. Recently, they posted a tweet that says that there are numerous plugins out there which you can use, which use LLM API. Okay, but it doesn't stand that well uh, with our guiding principles, which is like privacy is one of the key thing, and that's the reason why I didn't stop at LLM. Okay, so if we go at the settings, what does this plugin settings look like? So it has three classifiers. So no classifier, you just want to order them alphabetically or the order in which they occur in file. We have Bayesian and we have LLM, and this is the one that is encouraged. So
Okay.
that's why this is just the optional part. Otherwise, wouldn't have felt nice, like to introduce something that doesn't sit well with the what you can say,
Core
the
principle.
principles.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, so yeah. So what are the libraries that I used? I was looking for a library for tokenization when I was creating, big doc given a class. So straightforward way would have been to use normal JavaScript script, but fortunately I got this library Wink and LP, uh, which does a decent job in tokenization and removing punctuation and all that. So I use this, uh, kind of not as good as Spacey, but definitely gets things done in JavaScript. And another thing, I used OpenAI JavaScript library to make the LLM call if someone chooses LLM. So these are the primary libraries that I used, and yeah. So these are the references if you want to check out the functioning of this plugin. Please feel free to go here and check it out. Definitely a one file kind of plugin. Shouldn't be hard to understand, but please feel free to get back in case you need, if you have some doubts around this. Where from here, like how I see it, I see this whole plugin thing, Obsidian thing, very liberating. Let's say that you have some ideas that you want to try out, okay? Some classical algorithms you want to try out, some NLP algorithms you want to try out. I think this is a very good ground for you to create side projects, for you to create things and see how they work, how they behave on your data. Another thing, if you are in graphs and you are like analyzing graphs, implementing graph algorithms, then I think Obsidian plugin development is very a greenfield. So please do try out trying to create a plugin and see how it works. I think that would be a very fruitful exercise to build side projects and try out different ideas, especially if you are passionate about personal productivity. So yeah, uh, that would be it from my side. I'll be happy to take any more questions if you have.